Take a breath. Yeah, right there. Welcome to Take That Truth and Walk With It with Reverend Rich P., the podcast where real life meets real spirit. This isn't just talk. This is practical spirituality. This is faith in action. We're diving into the moments you live every day, the wins, the struggles, the how did I even get here seasons, and pulling the truth out of them. Not the polished truth, the real truth, the kind you can actually use. So whether you're on your way to work, sitting in your car trying to get your mind right, or just looking for a word that hits different, you're in the right place. Because here's the deal. You already have what you need. We're just here to remind you. Let's get into it.
Take a breath with me. Just let the day go. And if it's just starting out for you, take a deep breath just so that we can start with a new plate as we begin to fill it. And today, I want to welcome you to Take That Truth and Walk With It. I'm Rev Rich P. And today I want to talk about something that touches every one of us. And trust me, when I say this hit home, and it's about healing, real healing, the kind that reaches beyond positive quotes and motivational moments. This is the kind that actually creates the freedom we're looking for. Over the years, I learned something about myself. Whenever I ignored pain, buried my disappointment, or avoided difficult emotions, those experiences continued asking for attention. Especially, I discovered that healing grows when I create space for honesty. And that's what we're talking about today. Because every person carries something, whether it's memories, regrets, disappointments, old stories, unspoken grief. Life invites us to bring those experiences into light with compassion and patience. So let's walk together for a little while. So when I look at my life, I've spent many years trying to help people. You know, whether it's through ministry or my coaching, friendships, family, and somewhere along the journey I actually realized something very important. I knew how to support others. I knew how to encourage others. I even knew how to pray with others. Eventually, I recognized that my own heart deserved the same care. How many of us do that? We're so ready and willing to help others, but we forget to help the person that's important. That realization changed something inside of me when I realized that, because healing then became personal. I started to pay attention to the emotions instead of rushing past them. I started asking deeper questions. I started giving myself permission to acknowledge what I was carrying, and those moments created room for more growth within myself. And what I discovered is that awareness creates opportunities for healing. Not every answer comes immediately. Not every wound closes overnight. Healing unfolds over time, and every step forward matters. This is especially true within working with trauma. You know, I heard one of my mentors say, trauma is actually the stories we tell ourselves and not what actually happened to us. Of course, if something's happening in your life right now, please get help. Reach out to someone. But if this is something that you've been carrying for many years, and we're not downplaying it, but we're just saying that thank God it's not happening anymore. But the trauma is the story we keep telling ourselves about what's going on, and that's where the healing needs to begin. And to do that, we must face that. So let's talk about the spiritual principle here. So unity teaches that divine life, wisdom, and love are always present. That truth has brought me tremendous comfort because God's presence meets us right where we are. Even if it's a season of joy, a season of uncertainty, or a season that requires healing. Scripture tells us, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I definitely love this verse. I love it so much that if I ever open a church, you'll see it right behind the pulpit. But I love the verse because transformation is an ongoing process. Growth continues, understanding deepens, Perspective expands, and healing often begins with awareness. Awareness creates clarity. Clarity supports healthier choices, and healthier choices create new experiences. Throughout my life, prayer has helped me reconnect with peace. Reflections has helped me reconnect with wisdom. Journaling has helped me recognize what was happening inside of my heart, and these practices became valuable companions along the journey. Just a quick tip of how I've done it. I know that when anger comes up with me, and that's something I've been carrying for a long time, and it's still a work in progress, I can now ask myself and face it head on. Am I truly angry at what's happening now? Or has this triggered something that maybe my inner child or the kid energy in me is now looking for attention or looking for healing? And then I can face it. And then I'll journal about it. And a lot of times when I journal from a place of anger, and then it turns into a place of peace because I've released it. So those are practices you definitely want to look into. Now, when we change this and now we talk about the spiritual aspect, we talk about the practical spirituality. And we need to bring it in and start to use it every day. So let me bring this into everyday life. Sometimes healing involves forgiveness. Sometimes healing involves boundaries. Sometimes healing involves rest. Sometimes healing involves support. Sometimes healing involves conversations that create understanding. And sometimes healing involves giving ourselves permission to begin again. I've learned to become curious because instead of critical. I want to try to understand. And I want to learn from everything that's happened in my life. So when something emotional surfaces, I ask, what is this experience teaching me? That question opened many doors because wisdom often grows through reflection. Support also matters. Trusted friends matter. Healthy communities matter. Professional counseling matters. Spiritual practices matter. Life becomes richer when we allow ourselves to receive support and extend compassion toward ourselves. And I think that's what's most important. We need to realize that everything starts with taking a step. Martin Luther King's quote, "You don't need to see the top of the staircase to know that you need to take the next step." And when we take that next step, clarity ends up coming into our lives. It was a big thing for me. There's a book I read many, many, many years ago. It was called The Greatest Networker in the World. And it's written in story form. So he's mentoring a young man and he hands him a journal. And the journal, he hands him a book and he doesn't know it was a journal till he opens it. And he notices that every page is blank. But then he sees the inscription in the front. It says, "This book is for the things you don't know that you don't know." And that opened my eyes because as I began to learn more things, I realized I was never taught that. I was never taught many things. I never came to understand things. And like many people, I relied on what other people told me, social media, Google, all those oracles out there. But then I realized that for me to truly change, I needed to go not only into myself, but to learn the things that I didn't know. One of the biggest reasons I wrote the journal is not only for adults, but for children. Well, not so much children, but teens. Because of the fact that I've always believed that at the age of a teenager, you're kind of in that crossroads of trying to be an adult and staying a kid. And it's the most difficult time because you're in that stage of, I want to move faster, not realizing that now at 56, I wish I would have gotten a lot slower, and really smelt the roses. But I also realized that in my 50s, there was a lot of trauma and things I had to face. And when things started to arise and when I started to understand emotion and was able to ask questions to myself, what is this looking for me to do rather than becoming the victim and throwing a temper tantrum and taking it out on people? When I learned that skill, that's when life changed for me. And that's what I'm hoping for you. So this week will be a little short because I know this one is big. So I'll leave you with the following again. This was given to me by two different people. I am a trauma-informed life coach, which is important because I figured this will also help me, because there is a line where coaching may have to end, which is more about accountability, and therapy needs to begin, where I can say, hey, we've gone as far as we can go, and I think you need to heal even deeper. So remember that trauma is defined not by what happened to you, but the stories we continue to tell ourselves about it and our emotions around it. And that's where the healing needs to begin. So what are we practicing this week? And I invite you to join me as I join you in this practice, is to set aside some quiet time. Bring a journal and then ask yourself, what part of my life deserves healing and compassion right now? And don't hesitate with that. Write whatever comes to mind. Receive your thoughts gently. Honor the experience. Celebrate your growth. Trust that healing continues. Trust that that peace you're looking for inside of you continues to grow. And trust that new possibilities are unfolding with every written part in your journal, every moment of silence, and every question you ask yourself and face bravely. You have opened the door to new possibilities, and they're already unfolding. So let's take a breath here. And I believe that healing is possible. I believe that the peace you're looking for is already available. And I believe that grace continues working in our lives. And I believe every step toward wholeness matters. No matter how small the step, no matter how long it takes you to take the next step, just take a step today. So thank you for spending some time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, I hope you share it with someone who may need a reminder that healing is still unfolding. You can connect with me at any time at revrichp.com. And if you're ready to go deeper, I invite you to explore the Take That Truth and Walk with It journal experience. Other than that, as always, I encourage you to take this truth and walk with it. This has been Rev Rich P, and I wish you peace and blessings.
Take a breath. Let that settle in. Now, don't just hear it, walk it. Because truth isn't something you collect. It's something you live. And the moment you start applying it, everything begins to shift. If something spoke to you today, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, pass it on. Be the light in somebody else's moment. And if you're ready to go deeper, more tools, more truth, more ways to live this thing out in real time, head over to revrichp.com. That's where we keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay grounded, stay intentional, and keep showing up as who you already are. Take that truth and walk with it. Peace and blessings.